Coming up on this week's travel show.
I'm flying high as I test out the planes of the future. We go behind the scenes to take a look into the life of two globe-trotting travel vloggers. And Eva gets stuck into a First Nations feast in Canada.
They're like the perfect combination of fluffy and crispy.
Sweden is famed for its stunning nature and the people's love of the outdoors.
It's so peaceful up here and lots of pine, so very Swedish.
This deep connection with the environment has inspired the country to become one of the greenest in the world.
Down there is the city of Skellefteå, a pioneer in green technology, and this small city in northern Sweden is helping transform the way we travel.
57 Lima, wind 230 degrees and 7 knots, runway 28.
So that right there is an electrically powered aeroplane, and this is the Green Flight Academy, one of the world's most sustainable flight schools. Do you want a hand?
No, thank you.
Well, they obviously don't trust me with such high-end gear. It's fine.
Well, someone who is trusted with this costly tech is the school's head of training, Johan.
Johan, hello.
Hi, welcome to Green Flight Academy.
Oh, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So, these are the planes.
Yeah, here they are.
They're a lot smaller than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
Tiny. How did you get involved in this project?
With my background in aviation industry, and then I'm a bachelor in electrical and computer engineering, so I'm all about technology and electronics. Then it was sort of a once-in-a-lifetime thing for me, and a lot of people thought I was completely crazy trying to set up a brand new flight school and doing it with new things, new gadgets that no one's tried before. And here we are, and we're up and running, and it's working.
What's the kind of ultimate aim? What are you trying to achieve here?
Well, we're just trying to change the flight training scene. So, I mean, we love traveling, I love traveling, and we need to be able to connect people, and we shouldn't stop flying, we should fly more, but we need to do it in a sustainable way so we take care of the planet as well.
What is the difference between learning to fly in an electric plane versus a conventional plane?
Well, essentially there is no difference because the flight controls work the same, the instruments are the same, it's just the handling of the engine that's a little bit different. So at the end of the day, you're going to be a first officer and have the same commercial pilot license anyway.
And what kind of students come here? Where do they come from?
They come from all over the place. We have students mainly from Europe, but then we have a student from Australia and Canadian as well. So, and they sort of all have one thing in common, is that they're in their 20s, they grew up in a sort of society changing to being sustainable.
One of the students enticed by the school's green credentials is Alan, who's busy sharpening his coordination skills.
Hey guys.
Hi, how's it going?
Working hard, I see.
Absolutely, always.
Enough watching from the sidelines, time to get stuck in.
So, I recognise the accent very well, so something tells me you are not from around here.
No, I'm definitely not Swedish. No,
So what brings you here?
I was a plumber before I started training to be a pilot.
You was a plumber?
Yes, and
I love that, from plumber to pilot.
exactly. But even like the construction industry's changing, you know, we're no longer fitting as much fossil fuels as we used to.
Yeah.
And aviation's the same. So seeing that this school had electric planes and they had ties to moving forward in that way. And as I say, I think the aviation industry will change drastically in the next 10 years.
Tell me about your training. What's your training like?
The theory side is quite intense.
Okay. And how long is it before you get to touch a simulator or an actual plane?
It's quite quick.
Yeah?
No, as soon as you arrive.
So you think you could teach me how to fly on the simulator?
Absolutely.
Don't know if I'd be any good.
Nice.
Leg over. Ooh.
Your pedals down.
Yep.
Controls your rudder. This here's your throttle. So what we'll do is we'll put our feet in the brakes, put the throttle all the way forward. Once the instruments are all set, we'll start to roll.
Simple, right?
Easy as that, easy as that. 1, 2, 3, rotate. There we go, that's fine. Less than that.
Am I pulling too fast?
Yeah, we're in there.
Eager. Did you say that was a smooth takeoff?
Yeah, I've done worse, I can tell you that. Level off there. Nice.
But after a decent start, things quickly go downhill.
Try and get into a position to land it.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like a very terrifying beat. Okay.
So at the moment it's telling us we're quite high. That's us stalling.
Not a noise you want to hear when you're coming into land.
No.
That's sugar.
Keep going, and then pull back.
Pull back
Keep
for
going,
the landing.
Keep going, keep going.
Oh,
It's not bad, we're down. We're down.
Okay, I'm gonna call it. That wasn't a great landing, was it?
Not the best.
It was intense, but really fun. It was super realistic. My heart's still going.
The Academy runs out of Skellefteå Airport, complete with its very own Scandi chic wooden control tower.
Eva on left heading 310, clear direct approach, runway 28.
Left 310, clear ILS runway 28, clear tight 7 Lima.
Well, I've never been in a control tower before, so that was pretty impressive. But when I think about, the forefront of green aviation, I think New York, Tokyo, Singapore, not necessarily a small airport in a small city in the north of Sweden.
It may be small, but this airport is a trailblazer for travel. Annelie Vixten is one of the architects of this master plan.
The ultimate aim of the ELIS program is to invite the world to come and test their technology in this field, get things up in the air, see how it actually works in reality, where you can test the whole value chain of electric aviation.
Yeah.
From the ground infrastructure to the regulations in the air.
Okay, so with that, big picture time, how close would you say we are to, clean flying?
Sweden has a goal of having the transport sector fossil-free in 2030. That doesn't mean that all planes will be electric, but there will be hybrids for the shorter flights, and on the longer flights, these sustainable aviation fuels will be important, like biofuels, electrofuels, and hydrogen.
So you're clearly doing some incredible work here, but where else in the world is, doing great work in this space?
The US are doing a lot to introduce biofuels and sustainable aviation. The UK is also doing a lot in this area.
That's good to know.
Before leaving, there was one more important thing I needed to do.
So this is a pretty exciting moment as I'm about to hit the skies. It's definitely fully charged.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah?
100%.
You hope so? Oh, reassuring words there, Johan. All right, should we get in?
Let's do it.
Ooh. Oh, it's cozy. I can't believe we're about to go up in the air. I've never been in a plane this small before. So this is freaking me out a little bit.
10, true takeoff 0 number. Okay, ready?
Ready!
Let's do it.
Oh, I'm being a little wimp. I'm being a wimp now. It's turbulence. I need to get over it. Oh, I'd love to give it a go. As long as you should trust me. This isn't quite flight sim. This is the real thing. We are turning. It's so sensitive. One wrong move, it could be a game over. This has to be, without a doubt, one of the coolest things I think I've ever done. Oh, coming into land. Oh yeah.
Amazing. We made it back, and my adrenaline is running really high.
Good job.
Good job.
So we're 125 miles south of the Arctic Circle here, and not only is this area home to Europe's first electric flight school, but there are a number of ways in which sustainability is combined with innovation. There's this, the Sara Culture House and Wood Hotel, which just happens to be one of the largest structures in the world, but entirely out of wood. This is such an incredible, beautiful building.
Thank you so much. I'm not to take credit because I didn't build it, but I'm very proud to have it in my city anyways.
Yeah. So what's the idea behind this building to essentially, draw people into Skellefteå?
Yes, it's essentially about the goal on growing for the city to be bigger, but it's also not just like environmental sustainability. It's really about social sustainability because this house is open for everyone. This is a place where you just happen to experience culture.
Now, talk to me about this installation over here. When I first came in and saw it, I thought I was going mad, but it is definitely moving, right?
It is moving. You're seeing correctly. Yes, this is an AI installation. When it's moving like vibrantly, it's actually like using a lot of energy, maybe because we're having a lot of visitors coming in. Yeah. And then when it's quite slow like this, it's storing energy. Depending on how vibrant the movements are, the more is going on really in the energy systems.
I was not expecting you to tell me that much about that. That's really impressive.
It's like...
Very impressive.
Yeah, and it's also very nicely placed in like this heart of the house, It's a heart in the heart of the house.
Love it.
Yeah.
The life of a travel vlogger can seem idyllic. I mean, who wouldn't want to travel the world, experience amazing destinations, and rack up a load of likes online in the process? But behind the scenes, a lot of hard work goes into making that content. Meet Liv. And the one behind the camera, there's Lew.
And on social media, we are known as Liv and Lew.
And we're dropping in on their South American adventure.
We've been together now for 5 years in our relationship. Pretty early on, we both decided that we had a love for travel and that we wanted to go and see more of the world.
We want to see if the travel content creator lifestyle is as glamorous as it might look, and is it something any of us could pack in the 9 to 5 for and give a go.
Now, the question that we get asked all of the time is, how do we afford to live the lifestyle that we are living? There's a few different ways. We've obviously had savings and stuff, but the primary answer to that is through content creation with both hotels and brands. And what that means is, essentially, we will create content that we either share on our social media, or we create it specifically to send to a brand for them to use for their own marketing, or a bit of both. And in return, we will either get paid, or we will stay in a hotel for free, or do an excursion or various different activity whilst we're on the road for free. We've had some hotels kind of come back and say, oh, well, you didn't take photos of this, you didn't take photos of that. And it's like, well, you never mentioned that, and that wasn't in the contract. We did everything that you asked and what we thought was best. So that is something we have to sometimes deal with. From the DMs to those initial conversations, always contract, because we've got to protect ourselves that we will be paid.
Yeah. We
never work with brands on a free basis, just receiving a gift. Like, it's a lot of work that we do, so it's always got to be paid.
It's a job.
Yeah. Right, so shoot list here.
The process for us actually doing a shoot would be, first and foremost, we will sit down and we will make a shoot list together.
Sat outside from afar.
Yeah.
So far shot of the place.
We'll write down a script. And then when we come to shooting it, we usually try and do it in one sitting to get it all done in one go.
The key thing to remember about this whole video, right, is we are traveling.
We made it!
This isn't us setting up like a life where we're earning loads of money and we're saving for a house. Like, our primary objective is to travel So when we're agreeing to a hotel deal, if it's 3 nights, we don't want to spend 3 whole days just shooting and not enjoying the area for what it is.
Our third stop was Sao Paulo.
Yesterday was such a big day, so today we're just chilling, we're doing a bit of work.
We recommend staying here for 2 to 3 nights.
Later we've got a massage and spa session, so stay tuned for that.
Hello, mate. We're not speaking.
No.
With more and more content creators entering the market and competition hotting up, burnout is real. This whole game is driven by algorithms, and many vloggers eventually tire of feeding the social media beast that keeps them on the road. So can you ever take the time to really enjoy yourself and forget racking up the likes and shares? But if you have a skill that can pay the bill and no other means of travelling, Liv and Lew think this could be your perfect option to see the world. Just look after yourself out there, and remember, it may look like fun, but there's a lot of work involved too.
It can work for loads of people, right?
Yeah, if you've got a skill that you think is useful for a hotel or a brand, restaurant, cafe, there's so many different options. If you have a skill that you can offer them in trade for something that will benefit you whilst travelling on the road, then why not go and do it?
Well, we're off to Canada now and the west coast city of Vancouver, which often comes high on the list for great views, a laid-back lifestyle and amazing food.
Vancouver is frequently named as one of the best food destinations in the world. And last year alone, Michelin descended on the city, handing out 8 of its prestigious stars to restaurants in the city.
You might have heard about poutine. It's Canada's unofficial national dish, kind of like what pierogis are to Poland or what the burger is to the United States.
This comforting, salty dish is made up of chips, cheese, curds, and gravy.
But this is not a piece about poutine. In fact, it can be quite hard to find authentic poutine out here on the west coast. It comes from Quebec in the east. Here in Vancouver, there is another dish that you should know about. Hi!
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Paul Natrell. I'm Mr. Bannock.
Paul, or Mr. Bannock, is a member of the Squamish Nation. He lives on one of the 3 First Nation territories here in Vancouver City. He owns the only Indigenous food truck in Vancouver, and his specialty? Bannock, a staple in First Nation cuisine.
Oh, awesome. That's a Mr. Bannock apron, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Let me put this on.
Bannock is pretty simple. It's sugar, flour, baking powder, salt, and water. Not too dissimilar from an English scone.
The word Bannock itself is Scottish, so there's always a huge debate if Bannock is Indigenous. Every community and every nation has a type of flatbread, and as stuff evolves and Indigenous food evolve, we have baking powder, salt, sugar, and now we have these huge fluffy Bannocks. For me, it's huge to be able to have my kids watch and learn what I do, just because our food culture has been missing for so long, you know, through all the trauma that we have.
And Paul's love of education goes beyond his family. He works for the Indigenous Culinary of Associated Nations, or ICAN, a group of chefs who use food to connect young people to their heritage. In the late 19th century, European settlers established the Indian Act, devastating the human rights of over 200 distinct First Nations in the country and forcing cultural assimilation. As well as projects like Paul's, storytelling has become a huge way of keeping Indigenous culture alive. Les is a knowledge keeper for the Tsleil-Waututh tribe. It was only in the last 30 years that this park in northern Vancouver was returned to the people after the discovery of food scraps showed just how long ago a community lived here.
I grew up knowing it as Kate's Park, and it was discovered that that it was our land and that we use it as a summer village. Back over there, where it's a little bit flatter and more grass, that's where we would harvest our salmon. We'd hang our meat, our elk from the trees, our deer from the trees. We'd pick berries. There's always berries here in the summertime, so we'd spend a lot of our summers gathered here.
The Tsleil-Waututh population is growing. Once dropping to under 20, today the nation is over 600 people strong.
So right now I'm going to take you to one of our protected areas. It's known as Shalmidden, one of our areas where we place our food scraps. What I mean by our food scraps is like our salmon bones, our crab shells, our clam shells.
Why do you think it's important that travelers do engage with Indigenous culture?
I think it's a real eye-opener, and I share the knowledge, the history, the songs. I think they leave with a lot more respect for the land and for the Indigenous people.
And that's a really beautiful gift to share with someone.
Oh, see, yeah. I feel that when I share my songs, that's our medicine. The drum is the medicine for our people, and there's a lot of power to it. And when people hear the drum, that's the same feelings that I get.
So, with an understanding of the history of Indigenous food, back at the truck, I'm keen to sample Paul's modern take.
Well, these just look so delicious, golden, fluffy. Should I do it?
Yeah, do it.
And so delicious.
The
They're fluffy. They're like the perfect combination of fluffy and crispy.
Nice.
Hopefully, soon there will be more places to try Indigenous food in Vancouver. But for now, Bannock doesn't seem like a bad place to start.
Sadly, that's all we've got time for this week. Coming up next week, Rajan's off to Belgium, where
an upcoming change in the rules for Bruges' popular tourist canal boats could spell the end of an era for a long-standing family business.
I don't know any people who would invest, call it €1 million, and not being sure that you'll be able to still do the job.
So make sure you join him for that. But in the meantime, don't forget to delve into the huge amount of travel content from the BBC by checking out the tags you can see right here on your screen. And for me, Lucy Hedges, and the rest of the Travel Show team here in Sweden, it's goodbye.